Hey guys, welcome back to T the Goalie. My name's Taylor Schwant. Let's get right into it. So last week I did a poll on Instagram asking you guys what you wanted to see on this week's episode, and turns out, actually not so surprising, the winner was me talking about my time in Danbury for preseason and training camp. Honestly, it's kind of hard to remember everything because I was just living in the moment at the time. It was just so dialed into what I was doing. But I'm going to try my best to go into detail about what I can and obviously what I can recall. So just bear with me and I hope you guys enjoy. So being in Danbury, that was my first preseason and training camp in a minor pro league. So in the FPHL, I had been to free agent camps and some other camps before that, but this was my first real crack of actually making a roster full time and being on a roster during, the preseason and training camp time. Something that a lot of people might not know is that it's actually really hard to get an invite to training camp with Danbury, mainly because they don't hold like a free agent camp, so to speak. So going into their training camp, a lot of it is mostly rookies that they want to invite that they're really considering to signing to their roster. So obviously heading into camp, there's a lot of gratitude for the opportunity that's being presented and also just a lot of nerves because I understood the gravity of the opportunity that I was being presented and how much weight that actually held. So a little bit of putting pressure on myself, but also just in general of wanting to do well and wanting to prove a lot and show what I could do. Initially, some of you may know that there was 7 goalies that were going to be heading into training camp. It actually ended up dwindling down to 3 because there was other goalies that got called up. They ended up getting signed to other teams. So fortunately for me, it gave me more of an opportunity to showcase myself and just to have more attention and more eyes on me. So for that, I'm super grateful for that. And also though, it's really nice to see other people getting cool opportunities and being able to move up just as we're all working for. And just before I really dive into my experience in Danbury, I just want to give a quick shout out to Billy McCreary. He was the one that initially offered my PTO back in June or July-ish. I honestly can't remember at this point, but he was the GM at the time. Right before training camp, though, he did accept a job with the Kalamazoo Wings as an assistant coach in the ECHL. Billy's a great guy. He gave me an opportunity when nobody else would give me that opportunity, and it's opened a ton of doors for me, and it's given me hope that I do have a future in the Fed or just in the minor pro circuit in general. So Billy, thank you. Happy to see you're doing well, and much love to you. So the day before training camp started, we were all expected to use that as a travel day and then to get to the rink, get set up, get acclimated, get comfortable with our surroundings before we really got into the nitty-gritty. Once I got there, it wasn't a far trip. It was about like a 3.5-hour drive. I had Johnny Ruiz, who is the co-head coach, also player captain of the Danbury Hat, there to greet me and give me the tour, give me the rundown of everything, and also show me to my locker room. I think you could have already guessed that I wasn't going to be dressed with the guys, but I had a really cool setup, and I'm actually next going to show you guys the video that I took of my setup. The way that it was set up was so similar to how the actual locker room looked. They did a great job with it. It was a ref room that was blocked off just for me. I didn't miss out on anything other than just being with the rest of the guys. The next day was the first official day of training camp. That's when we were all going to meet each other and we were all getting on the ice together for the first time. Obviously for me, the nerves were running a little high. I didn't fully know what to expect. Obviously we had a meeting with the coaches beforehand. That also was my first time meeting Kyle Gonzalez, who is a co-head player coach alongside Johnny. They set the tone for what they were going to expect from us throughout training camp and also what we could expect from them. Great first impressions all around, really great people, the both of them, and are really good at what they do. So kudos to them for that, obviously. It's awesome. And another thing too, as being really the only woman in the room, you never know what you're going to expect from the guys that you're going to be playing with, because at this point, a lot of them have probably played with girls or women in the past. Maybe some of them, this is their first encounter, so they're not really sure what to think or what to expect from me. But immediately just felt very welcome, didn't feel judged. Some guys were a little more quiet than others, but hey, we're all getting to know each other at that point. So nothing to really think of that. Overall, saw some familiar faces too. Some guys that I had played with in training camps before. And that was also a little comforting because at least I knew some people that were there and felt that I had some other people that I could lean on as well. Johnny and Kyle definitely worked us really hard. We had some really great practices. Heading into it, I knew that it was going to be high pace. It was going to be a little bit quicker than what I had been used to in a while, because I hadn't been in like a real team setting like that in probably a few months since the previous season had ended. But that was also semi-pro, so I knew that this was going to be a step up, or maybe 2 steps up from where I was at before. And I was definitely right about that. I kind of expected that coming into camp. So it wasn't like a shock. It was just the initial, okay, I need to just get caught up to speed real quick. After the first, like I'd say 10 minutes or so, I was fine. They were 2-hour ice slots, so plenty of time to get comfortable and get acclimated. And also, fun fact, I had a stick that broke. I think it was on like the 6th shot, and I didn't bring my other stick out with me. And I refused to be the person that said, I have to go grab my stick from the locker room because I didn't bring it with me on the bench. So I spent that entire first day with a broken shaft. That was fun, not really, but I definitely learned after that to always bring a second stick on the bench with me. In our downtime throughout training camp, which I didn't think we got too much of, I thought there was a really good balance of working hard and then also having that room to just breathe and relax and recover as well. We were just hanging out. Me and a couple of the guys hung out pretty regularly since they were guys that I was already like familiar with and had played with before. I also spent some time reading too. I was obviously in my own hotel room. So when I wasn't hanging out with everyone else and I was taking that time to myself, I would do a little bit of reading. I did some mobility work, just a little bit extra to make sure that I was good and ready for our upcoming preseason game, which I'm going to get into next. The preseason game was by far the coolest part of the entire experience, not only for the fact that I wanted to show everybody what I could do and finally get to showcase myself and how I measure up amongst the other guys in the Fed, but also for the fact that that was something I'd been working towards for years. And if you had asked me years ago if I would be in that position, I would have told you I hope so. But that was the reality of I finally get to do this and I'm going to make the most of this opportunity. Because of the way things worked out logistically, we did have to go up to Newburgh, which is where the Venom was playing at the time, a day early. We didn't get a ton of ice time together beforehand as a team, but I felt like there was already a lot of chemistry with the team. I felt that we were ready, and I thought it gave us more time to also just kind of bond off the ice and build more of that chemistry. So on one hand, it wasn't a bad thing. On the other hand, I just wish we could have gotten a little more ice time than we did. But overall, what we did have, we made the absolute most of, and it ended up working out really well. So we pull up to the rink on game day, and it's the usual game day routine outside of, we had actually already did a dynamic warm-up together beforehand, because we had a pretty large gap in between when we had to be out of our hotel versus when we actually had to be on the ice. So we took a long time to do a thorough warm-up together. We also did the typical getting together, going over lines, systems, and the usual stuff like that. Nothing really crazy. And then, like I said, everyone just kind of went off and did their own preparation as they normally would pregame. When the rink manager was showing me to my locker room, I was carrying all my stuff, and there was actually this little girl in the hallway with her mom. There was some other stuff going on there before then too, so the rink was pretty packed. And as I was walking by them, I heard the little girl turn to her mom and say, "Mommy, why is that lady carrying their stuff?" I just thought it was really funny. it gave me a pretty good laugh as I was feeling the nerves of pregame and just the anxiousness, the excitement all in one. It kind of brought me back to that moment in a second, for that second, to be like, yeah, this might be a little weird, but it's really, really cool. And after on-ice warm-ups, the game ended up being delayed by about a half hour because there was actually a small fire in the kitchen. From what I heard from my dad who was there, it was something with the popcorn machine. I think the popcorn machine caught fire. And thankfully it wasn't serious. Nobody was hurt or anything. But that was definitely my welcome to the Fed moment. Not that it was funny, but we all kind of didn't know how to react at the time when we just heard the fire alarm going off right before our game. So we all kind of started to chuckle and be like, oh my gosh, like what's going on here? So yeah, that was definitely like my welcome to the Fed moment, and just my reality also that I was there right now in the present, just enjoying it. Heading into the game itself, I felt very dialed in and definitely ready to go. I had received a lot of well wishes throughout the day from friends, family members, my goalie coach, who was a huge supporter throughout the entire time. One thing that he said to me, and one thing that we had talked about a lot prior to me heading up to training camp, was that no matter what the outcome was, I had earned an incredible opportunity and that nobody could take it away from me. I still wanted to get the win and I still wanted to play well, but something that he always says to me that I think about a lot is that the hockey gods have already decided the fate of the game. There's nothing for me to do that I can necessarily change the outcome. I just need to control what I can control and just be focused and present in the moment and do the absolute best that I can, because the game's already decided. Whether or not you want to believe that, I find a lot of solace in that, and it also kind of helps me calm down. But like I said, whether or not you want to believe it or you think I'm a little crazy for it, so be it. But I firmly believe the game's already been decided. We just have to do whatever our best is and kind of let go of control of the outcome. I had also felt like I had already bonded with the guys, and in a way that I felt comfortable in going into that battle with them. In the past, I hadn't always felt that way, especially being the only woman on a lot of the men's teams that I've been on in the past. So I just felt like that extra boost of that willingness to not only do well for myself, but to do well for all the guys around me, because I wanted to see each and every one of us get the win. Didn't matter, it wasn't just about me at that point. It was greater than me. That entire experience had, or I should say was impacting so many guys and the trajectory of where they would go as well. To be honest, I don't remember a lot about the game, like in the moment or anything really in particular. I was just completely dialed in and in the present. I didn't have much on my mind. It was definitely that flow state that you'll hear a lot of people talk about. When you're fully dialed in, you're really not thinking about anything else. You're just there. You're in the moment and everything's just kind of coming together. It's like a puzzle, just piece by piece. You're building it into that picture that, whatever that turns out to be in the end. So I really wish I could remember more and give some more specific points, but I do have a good one to talk about that was really cool. After I think my third or fourth save, and the main reason I know this is because I was looking back at the film and somebody started a chant, Taylor, Taylor, Taylor. And then after that, it was every save that I had made from then on, the whole crowd just started chanting it. And that was super cool. The first time that I actually heard it, I swear I felt like the hairs stand up on the back of my neck and just like a chills going down my spine. It was the most surreal thing, and that I think was also the moment that it hit me that I was really playing a pro game. Because not that it hadn't hit me before, but in that moment, it was like, oh my gosh, like this is real. This is really happening. Not sure who started that, but thank you. That was super cool, and it just added that much more to my own experience. And much love to the Danbury fans and the Venom fans. They showed me a lot of love throughout that game, and their support and everything just added to my experience. So that was awesome. Much love to you guys. Overall, I felt like the game had went really well. I felt really good about the way I played. Stopped 15 of 16 shots in just over half the game. Very happy with that. Statistically very good. And overall, just remember feeling really good as a whole. Not just for the fact that I thought I had played well, but I was getting that love from Johnny and Kyle, who were coaching on the bench, and then the rest of the guys. So much support throughout the entire time. It was just absolutely incredible. Everyone was so excited after our win. I got a taste of what it's like to be a Danbury Hat trick post-win. That was really cool. Some dancing in the locker room. On the bus ride home, we were all just so excited. We were listening to music, talking, laughing, just having a great time together. And the adrenaline was still going too. It was definitely hard to fall asleep after that, after we got back to the rink, unpacked, and then got back to the hotel. And another thing still that we had coming was cuts the next morning. So we all get to the rink at 8 in the morning. That's really when the cuts were starting. We kind of just mainly hung out in the locker room, did a little recovery stuff like foam rolling, going on the exercise bike, and some people were also playing on this ping pong table that was in our area. So everyone was just trying to pass a little time as we were all anxiously waiting to see what was to come next. Initially, I hadn't been cut. I was set to go for another couple of days and kind of keep battling. Some of the other goalies were finally going to be coming in and we were going to see what's up. And I went back to the hotel room feeling really good. However, a few hours later, I got the phone call that nobody wants to get. I was told that basically after further consideration and how things were working out in the league this year logistically with roster spots and sort of like cap spaces, that they ultimately decided that they were going to send me home. I had been cut before from other opportunities, and obviously it never feels good. With Danbury though, something about it just felt really different, probably because it was my first like real shot at making a pro roster full time. I was heartbroken. There's really no other way to kind of express it. I love Danbury and I felt that I had so much more to give and so much more to show. But unfortunately in life, and especially in minor pro hockey, almost all the time, it isn't fair. On a lighter note with that though, fortunately, I did leave Danbury with a lot of gratitude, pride, and also the confidence that I could earn a spot in the Fed, which really only feeds my desire to keep going every day and to keep doing what I'm doing. Also part of what motivated me to take this spot in Fort Wayne. I know a lot of people have reached out to me asking me if I'm gonna come back, when I'm gonna come back, and to be completely honest, that is mostly out of my control. I'm not sure that I'll ever make it back to Danbury as part of the team. I would love that. I would be completely open to it again if given another opportunity. But in the meantime, I have work to do and obviously look to crack a roster somewhere, regardless of whether that's Danbury or somewhere else. And I'm gonna be just as grateful for that next opportunity, no matter where it is. I know at some point I just have a feeling that I will make it somewhere else. It's just a matter of time and when, and a little more work to do and a little more to prove myself in the semi-pro scene as well. And a key part of this video for me is just being able to show gratitude for this opportunity, because it truly did change my career path. It changed my life, and it also changed my outlook sort of on myself and how I would move forward, I guess, in pursuing this dream. So in short, thank you to everybody that had been so supportive of me during my time in Danbury, whether that was teammates, coaches, fans, family, friends, whoever you are, thank you so much. And because of all of you, I can look back on Danbury so fondly, even though at the end of the day, it wasn't the outcome that I had wanted. This is going to be an experience that I will never forget, and that was absolutely life-changing. Honestly, I could talk about training camp for hours, but I didn't want everyone to tune me out, so I think I'm going to wrap it up here. Thank you all for tuning into this week's episode of T the Goalie. I hope you enjoyed it. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, share. Also, don't be afraid to let me know in the comments any questions or what else you would like me to talk about next. Stay tuned for next week's episode.